Hello and welcome to the CX Files podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hillary. Robèrt van Diem is the Senior Vice President of Operations at 5CA. He's based in the Netherlands. Robèrt has a long history leading operations at companies including Xerox and Conduent before his present role. 5CA is an almost exclusively work-from-home company, so in this episode I focused most attention on asking Robèrt how do they make this really work. Okay, let's go straight to the interview. Robèrt, thanks for doing the podcast. It's great to see you again. Now, 5CA, I know that you've been on a 2-decade journey with work from home. Obviously, it was much simpler back in the early days, but it's still quite a contrast to many of the companies that in 2020, they had to just send everybody home and work out how to do this. So could you just give me some background? I mean, how long has 5CA been doing this, and what was the journey like?
Well, it was an interesting journey. I think our founder, Otto van Haren, who founded the company 20 years ago, was quite a pioneering spirit, and he experimented a lot with different operating models, if you like, working from home, brick and mortar, a hybrid model. I think his starting point was the ambition to find the best qualified people, and that would lead to a place to settle. So I think he tried on 3 different continents to settle, and I think in the end it became clear that finding the right number of multilingual, talented people, I think that made the decision. So that made him in the end choose for the work from home model, because he needed to find these people, and he didn't want to limit himself by finding enough people, limited by geography, if you like. So I think it took him 5 years or so. So I think 15 years ago, there was that really remote first company that started to grow with passionate, talented people from all over the globe. And I think now over 90% of our people are actually working from home across the globe.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're, 5CA is completely remote first. And that's different to many other companies in this industry. Now that they've experienced work from home during the pandemic, they're saying that they're going to go for a hybrid, so flexible. People can work at home Monday and Friday and then come to the contact center Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they're looking for this kind of flexible model. What's the advantage of just going completely remote first compared to what most of the companies are talking about?
Yeah, I'm surprised that companies use that hybrid model, to be honest. I think we learned from experience that it's very important to make clear choices and focus on a solution that works best. And I think there are loads of reasons to prefer a work from home model above a hybrid model. I think what we just touched on is that we like to unlock. Forgive me my English. Unlock talent without being hindered by geographical boundaries. So people can just be found and stay close to their home. We don't take people out of their community into a multilingual hub city somewhere in Europe, and just keep them close to home, lower costs, more convenient for the people, easier scalable, and maybe in COVID times, no commuting. I have a lot of friends in brick and mortar, and they hate COVID obviously, but they are very happy not to have to commute every day, because they get back an hour or 2 hours a day because they can stay home. Well, that pleasure, our people don't recognize that pleasure because they have that every day just by being close to home. And I can go on and go on. I think that hours that we give them back by not commuting will help them to create a healthy work-life balance. It also keeps them in their own time zone. So when their friends are off, they're off as well, instead of that they are working the night shift to talk to someone on the other side of the globe. So, so I think a hybrid model is really a bad idea. We asked people to work from home. So it's like you prefer to work from home, and now I come to you and say, I know you would love to work from home, but can you please get to the office on Monday or Friday? It doesn't make much sense to me. I think people really they apply it to work from home. So yeah, let's have them have them work from home, and I think that companies are scared for that work from home fatigue. But that's, I think, strange to our people. But because again, what you appreciate and what you opted for is not going to fatigue you, unlike people who are asked by their employers to work home because they have to.
I think that point is important. You are hiring people specifically to work from home. So the people who apply for those jobs, they will want to be at home. And it's very different to many of the contact centers that have sent people home because of the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think also with regards to that hybrid conversation, that the command structure, if you like, or the way people are controlled in brick and mortar are totally different than in a work from home model. We love to base our culture on trust, transparency, and we are really focused on output rather than the way you look at brick and mortar control types of models.
Well, that's an interesting point there, because you mentioned corporate culture, and clearly in a traditional contact center, the managers they can coach people individually, they can see them, so they're used to seeing all of their team in the office. So how do you make that work if you need to build a culture that means the people are working even though you can't see them?
So I was talking about trust and transparency, and we try. I called it the work from home engagement suite. I think you need to build it, and it takes time to build it, and it doesn't come out of a jar. It doesn't work, and therefore I think it doesn't work in a hybrid model. We really support our line managers in creating that engagement culture, that work from home engagement culture. And maybe I can give you some examples there, because you mentioned that the virtual happy hours. The virtual hangovers are killing me.
Well, it's funny because I think it was Marcel from 5CA. I was talking to him before, and he said that it's absolutely useless for managers to be doing virtual happy hours if they're not focused on real engagement, creating trust, communicating what they want the team to do. So you have all this kind of foundation, and so you're only going to have a beer together and enjoy being at work if all this other stuff is in place first.
Yeah, I think that the virtual beer, I had a few, and it still feels extremely unnatural. But and it's exactly like you say, it's the last in line. I think that maybe to explain it, we have a team of 7 people in 5CA who are only focusing on engagement. They built what I call the home engagement suite, the work from home engagement suite. That's the only thing they do. They are called the engagement team. They don't have other chores. They don't do things on the side. They just try to connect constantly with our community and build our community. So they are engaging with people as much as possible, with as much as people possible every day. And I can give you some examples. It's I just lined them out because it's too much to mention, but I will just call out a few. So we have a daily check with them. What's keeping you awake? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? Just tell via Yammer or Teams or Discord, regardless of the channel. We have a weekly gazette where we talk about, hey, what's happened this week? Obviously, everything online. We have a checkpoint weekly. It's an hour, everyone can join, and every department just gives a highlight on, hey, what have we been doing? What are our challenges? Where are we moving to? And the obvious things, the agent of the week, the champion for client X. What would you like to learn in the 5CA online academy? We have a virtual ID box, which is called Cerebro. We have conversations on what people put in there. And I think in the end, it's people management, but we organize and manage it not only by depending on the line manager, because obviously everyone's busy and the daily chores, and sometimes we can forget. And as brick and mortar managers, we can make it up at the coffee machine. But in this case, we can't. So that engagement team is constantly helping the managers to make sure that we create that work from home environment that's beneficial to the people, and that makes them feel connected.
Yeah, and that's great. And I mean, one of the things that you mentioned, we were on a webinar recently, a couple of weeks ago, and you said something about going remote first and hiring people at home. You can focus on people who actually are passionate and love the brands that you're supporting. And I think you gave the example of a big Dutch beer company, and how you get agents on the team that are actually interested in brewing. So their customer support team actually has home brewing fans. And, this sounds really interesting because, we normally see most contact centers, they're hiring graduates, they're hiring people with customer service expertise, but nobody's ever saying, let's hire, fashion experts to support a fashion brand. How do you make that work?
Yeah, I was highly intrigued when I first encountered 5CA, and I had a conversation with Otto, and he told me about these brand ambassadors or fans of brands. And I worked for over the last 10 years in a more corporate environment, and I was really, really curious because me being the operations guy, I obviously strive for having all these kinds of people in my teams, but in real life, it often proved to be difficult. But I must admit that I met a lot of brand ambassadors or fans of brands. And to your question, how did we get there? I'm still not sure, because I think our goal was to find the best talented people. And then we started hiring those people without any geographical boundaries in a work from home setting for a certain client. And then suddenly all those fans applied. So what was first, work from home or fans of brands? I think the fans of brands, reinforced our work from home model. Does it make sense? It's they found us instead of that we were per se looking for fans of brands.
Yeah. So you didn't have a hiring program that was looking for fans. It's just like the fans of these brands actually came to you and said, we'd love to work on this. Yeah,
we were hiring the best possible people, but I don't know. It was before my time, so maybe Otto will kick my ass because it's my own conclusion. But I think that it just came together. And I think we acknowledged the power of having passionate people to work for clients who are passionate about their products and are passionate about their consumers or their end users. And it makes life so much easy. And you see it on a lot of things. You see it on scheduling. people are so much more inclined to be flexible, not only because they work from home, but also because they understand the rhythm of the brand, if you like. So there are peaks, there are off-peak season, and it's not like we take the beer guy to the fancy purse division and say, hey, now you are suddenly a fan of that other brand. No, we say, hey, this is what we have, and if there's low season, well, fine, then we will pause. And because they are truly fans, it's very easy to get back to them and say, hey, good news, your brand is back, and we need your help to support your brand. And that resonates. It also helps when you look at attrition, cost to hire people. So it's not only creating a really engaged workforce, but it only creates a great economical model.
Yeah, and this is a real big difference about work from home, that you can do this, and I haven't heard many other of your rival companies talking about this. That they're still talking about contact center skills as the accent, the empathy, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Limited geography to hire people from. And what always drove me crazy was also the fact that it was always super difficult to align your contract development, the time to renew, versus your real estate commitment and the time to renew. So there was always a struggle. How do I stay flexible? Do I need more square meters, less square meters? Do I need more or less? And I think this model is so flexible and scalable that it makes my life a lot easier than it did in the past.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just finally then, one of the big buzzwords in the industry is resilience. Everybody is saying we're going to build resilience in 2021. But it seems that nothing actually changed at 5CA. That you didn't have to send anybody home. You didn't have to change your onboarding. You didn't have to change your training. So I mean, what's the roadmap for you guys moving into next year? Because you didn't actually have to change a lot this year.
It was business as usual, although it was a lot busier because a lot of people who weren't set up for this were in a lot of trouble, and I shouldn't laugh about it, but secretly we obviously enjoyed the pleasure of helping their clients with our solution. But still there's a lot of work to do, because we will obviously continue on the road we are on with regards to work from home, trying to find brand ambassadors, but also trying to find new clients who love their brands and who want to stay away from commoditizing customer experience, but who are eager to engage in a human-to-human conversation with people who share the same passion. So expanding those relationships is obviously something that we really love to do. And I talked about our work from home engagement suite. I think you're never done there. We feel comfortable that we found a good way to relate to our community, to develop our community. But again, the world is changing, and we need to adapt and to make sure that we stay connected and keep providing the service that our clients expect us to do. Next to that, we are trying to professionalize the organization. We are obviously growing very fast. So we're investing in technology, investing in increasing our data analytics to also provide not only excellent service, but also excellent insights. We are investing in certifying part of the organization, so we're working on ISO and COPC certifications. A lot of things that we still need to do, and we are enthusiastic to do. But again, talking to our brands and connecting them with our brand ambassadors, I think that's still top priority for next year as well.
Thanks for downloading the CX Files podcast. If you have a moment, please give us a star rating or review on your favourite podcast provider, because this really helps other people to find the podcast. If you have any suggestions for future guests, or ideas, people or topics, then please just find myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan on LinkedIn and send a suggestion.